And I wanted to exceed in my career because that's what I believe leadership is. Leadership is not chasing this, that, and the other. It's about making an impact because at the end of the day, leadership is a people's business. It was about pushing for excellence and being the best leader that I could be, being the best soldier that I can be, paratrooper, and coming in ready and willing and able to do what was needed.
Some people wait for opportunity. Others fight for it. Welcome to Tactical Wealth, the show where discipline, service, and real-world experience become pathways to financial power. I'm your host, Kaj Larson. On each episode, we bring you the stories and the wisdom of those who have gone from boots on the ground to successful careers, from military to wealth, and how they've done it so you can apply those insights to your own mission and your own life. This is Tactical Wealth, from military to money. Welcome back to another episode of Tactical Wealth. For this episode, I am really, really excited because we have retired Command Sergeant Major Tonya Oxendine, and she has an extraordinary career that spans everything from being a paratrooper to a drill sergeant to one of the first Black female Command Sergeant Majors at the 82nd Airborne Division. Hooah!
Airborne.
Airborne. And now she spends a lot of her time and her focus and her energy in helping veterans transition, dealing with PTSD, dealing with purpose and mission in your post-service life. Tonya, it's an honor to have you. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Thank you for having me, but I appreciate that.
Well, we already did the Airborne.
Right, Airborne.
Yeah. So I went to Airborne at Fort Benning. I assume you went to Airborne at Fort Benning. Yeah.
Long time ago.
Dirty, nasty leg, black hats.
Nasty leg.
Oh my God, you really were a drill instructor. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Well, before you had this kind of extraordinary, groundbreaking career, where do you come from and how'd you get into the service?
Yeah, so how did I get into the service? That's going to be a good one. But I'm from St. Augustine, Florida. Growing up, my mother
Isn't that like the oldest town in America?
It is the oldest city in America, right, in our nation.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, it's very beautiful, right. So you have to get there and get downtown, especially during the Christmas holidays. It's really nice down there. But so we have a few parts, just like any town, right? You have certain areas in that town.
And you were from the nice area.
Nah, let me tell you about that. The nice area is downtown, Haughty-Taw. If you go about 5 miles west, that's where I'm from.
That's where you call home.
That's where I'm from, yeah.
Okay.
So, it was called Overtown was the town, right? And then out west was where I lived. That's what we called it, out west. So I live on a street, the dirt road, Christopher Street. Yeah,
wow.
It was a dirt road. It's paved now, but back then it was a dirt road. And my mother was a single parent of me and my brother. We didn't have, by all means, we were poor growing up, and my voice shakes a little bit. Not because I'm embarrassed to say that, because, it just kind of gets to me a little bit emotionally, right? So we were poor growing up, and my mom didn't have a lot. She drove school bus, had different various jobs and things like that. And I remember a lot of times our electricity would be cut off, and we would have to run the extension cord, those big, long industrial orange extension cords, from our cousin's house to our house, just to have a little light, the light like the mechanics use, run that through her bedroom. And we didn't have, and my sons don't understand this, but in the kitchen, we had a sink. It was one sink. We didn't have countertops, so we used a folding table to push up against the sink, and we didn't have pipes underneath.
Right.
So we would push rags in there and for the water and then let it out. A bucket would be under, dump it out the back door. So that's how I grew up, right? And I knew that I was destined for more. It was a lot of abuse, physically on my mom, some sexual abuse on my mom, on myself. And I knew I was not going to stay on that dirt road. I didn't know where I was going and what I was going to do, but I was not going to stay there. I knew that I was destined for more at a young age. So one day I was walking over town because no car. My mom had one. She was trying to get to work in it, right? Yeah. And I looked over and saw, the recruiting station. And we all knew where the recruiting station was at. And the first door was the Army door, and I walked in there, and that's how I came in the Army. And I said if the first door would have been a Marine door, I'd have been a Marine. But so I'd have been saying hoorah instead of hooah. But
right.
So that's how I came and, ended up joining the Army. It wasn't planned or anything. It just so happened.
So for you, like so many people, the Big Green Machine was an opportunity, an economic opportunity, a way out, a lifeline, maybe?
Yeah. So then it gave me an opportunity, when I started a family that I could help provide. I was married at the time, could help provide for my family. And, I tell a lot of people that the Army came first for me, not my kids, not my husband, because early on I, told them, hey, the Army comes first. I knew my mission was to fight and win wars, so I had to be top physical condition, top mental condition, and that was my way of providing, helping, provide for my family. And, at the end of the day, it paid off, not just the benefits, but the training, the discipline, the structure, and then I was able to carry that on and, talk to my sons about it and, raise them in that way. And so the Army was very important for me in my life.
Wild. And tell me a little bit about the early part of your Army career. Where'd you go? What'd you do?
Yeah, so early on, so I think this is a pretty cool story. So in basic training in 1985.
Don't worry, we'll bleep that out.
Right? We'll bleep that out.
We can fix it with AI. I think you said 1995.
Oh, yeah brother. So in 1985, I went to basic training, and I'll never forget the coolest drill sergeant that I ever knew besides myself when I became one, but Drill Sergeant Kennedy. And his nose, it looked like he had been in every war and had a fight in every war. It was, had been broken. It was all pushed to the side. It was red. It was big. But I tell you, I admired that man. And I said, I want to be like Drill Sergeant Kennedy. I want to be a drill sergeant one day. And then I met another drill sergeant a little bit later on in my career, Staff Sergeant Tammy Rice. And Sergeant Rice came to me one day and she said, Oxendine, what are you going to do for the Army? And I said, I want to be a drill sergeant. She was a drill sergeant as well, ex-drill sergeant. I said, I want to be a drill sergeant like you, like my basic training Drill Sergeant Kennedy. I want to do 30 years. I want to make Command Sergeant Major. And she gave me a list of things that I needed to do. And I went to our advanced non-commissioned officer course, again, a little bit later on, and saw this man. His name was Hector Prince. I've never seen anybody like this that looked like this in my entire life. He had a maroon beret on. It was so nice. It was parallel to the marching surface. It was tilted just right over his left eye. His boots was spit shine. You could, see your teeth in them. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I said, I don't know who or what he is or what he does, but I want to do it. Come to find out, he was a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. And I eventually went to Airborne School and became a master paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. As time would go and pass on, just going through the ranks, and doing some of the toughest jobs that I thought possible, volunteering for those jobs. Because again, I wanted to exceed in my career, because that's what I believe leadership is. Leadership is not, chasing, this, that, and the other. It's about making an impact, because at the end of the day, leadership is a people's business.
Yeah, but that being said, everything you were doing, 1985, there was not a lot of female drill sergeants. There probably wasn't even that many female paratroopers, right?
Right.
Right, and there certainly wasn't a lot of black female paratroopers.
Absolutely, right? So, and I'm glad you said that. So as I progressed in the ranks, in most of the meetings, all of the meetings, that nobody looked like me, not a black female, not having senior rank. So it was a little bit of I almost said ostracization. I don't know if that's a word, but but kind of like, a little ostracized. Yeah. And I can understand, but then again, I'm like, nah, I'm still your battle buddy. So, I found myself, just making sure I need to prove myself. But, again, top physical condition, top mental position, fitness, and intellectually we can all do the same thing, but I can't necessarily outrun or outlift a man. So I just tried to be as tough and strong as I could. But yeah, it was tough, doing that a little bit and going through all that. There was some sexual abuse and sexual harassment going up, and I never said anything, never did anything, because again, my career was important to me, and the climate then was, you say something, you up out of here. I couldn't afford to do that, because I was not going back home to that dirt road. I was not going back home to St. Augustine. So eventually some of those things kind of, you push them down, you do your job, you put your head down and you do what you got to do, because again, it's about taking care of soldiers and fighting and winning wars for the Army.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, you and I both have had long careers in the military, right, and we know the good, the bad, and the ugly, right, of the military. The good for me, though, has always been that, like, you and I, we come from different opposite parts of the country, right? Like, we have different color skins, you know, like we might have all kinds of different ideas, but like we have that shared common thread that we both wore the cloth of the country.
Exactly.
And like you and I, we had to jump out of the same airplane at Fort Benning, Georgia. Doesn't matter our gender or our race, still had to get out the door.
You got to carry the same amount of equipment.
That's right.
At some point, right? Because then we know, depending on your job, you carry heavier equipment or so on. But for the jumps, right? For the airborne operations.
Those 5 basic parachute with those stupid round parachutes.
There you go.
you know, after jump school, I never jumped a round parachute again.
Really?
Oh my God, I hate that. What did you have? Like the T10 or something? Yeah. The worst thing. It's like basically out of World War II.
Damn, you hit the ground.
Jump on a rope.
A little bit of wind catch up.
Oh my God.
It's over.
It was only square parachutes from there on out. Yeah. Now, I think for people who don't have a military, we have a lot of veterans, you know, who are part of the audience who watch this because they're thinking about career transitions and pivots. But for people who don't understand the military, I think it is really important to emphasize you achieved the highest rank that is possible within the enlisted military. I mean, you're an E9. You retired as an E9.
Right.
It doesn't get any higher than that. And you were a command sergeant major.
Exactly. Yeah.
To the very top of the pyramid.
Yeah. And I'm proud of that, right? And, you know, sometimes I'm talking to people or friends like, oh, she's bragging. You're right. I am. Because, you know, I did my due diligence. I did my job. And I'm proud of my service and what I was able to accomplish and those things. So, yeah, you know, it's just... Again, I pushed for excellence. I wasn't trying to, of course we want to get promoted and those things, but it was about pushing for excellence and being the best leader that I could be, being the best, soldier that I can be, paratrooper, you know, and coming in ready and willing and able to do what was needed.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I just can't emphasize enough like what an honor it is to speak with you. Yeah. And I know how difficult that journey is, and I hope other people understand how difficult it is. But I also get the very deep sense that that's what forged you and allowed.
I'm telling you, it really did. I mean, my childhood, upbringing, I think all that kind of makes us, right? So it's either gonna break us or it's gonna make us a little bit stronger. So I think mine made me a lot bit stronger. Again, I don't know if that's the right word, but it made me a lot bit stronger. So I'm proud of that. And, you know, being the first black female command sergeant major in the 82nd Airborne Division. Now, let me say this, that has not been officially recognized. And I understand that because, you know, back then or kind of coming up a little bit, it was not like a whole bunch of fanfare. Yeah. You just did your job, right? Just eventually as time went on, I realized that, hey, I was the first black, female command sergeant major in the 82nd Airborne Division. Now, if somebody's listening and they want to go talk to HRC or the Pentagon and say, hey, let's make sure and do this kind of stuff, which I'm 100% sure that I am. There was an article in the newspaper and things about someone else, and I was like, no, buddy, that was me. So just that. So I again, if somebody's listening, then they can do that because I'd rather get my recognition while I'm alive and not posthumously. We talking about, she was an inspiration. Tell me now. I want my flowers now while I'm alive.
For sure. Yeah. Although I totally, completely understand what you're saying. Like when we're in, it's just like head down and grinding. You're not thinking about it from these sort of ideological or whatever, that part matters much less than the Absolutely. Hey, this is my job and this is like the best career path for me. The best
career path, right? So you and probably like yourself, I said, hey, I need to make sure I'm doing this and I want to do that. Oh, that's a tough job. I was never the mediocre type. Like I've always tried to exceed the standards. That didn't mean I did it all the time, but that was my goal, to exceed the standards. I knew I wasn't going to retire as an E5 or E6. Like, what? No knock on anybody who did, but I've always had that, go get them kind of attitude, and it's just helped me succeed in life.
I like this concept, and I think it can take us into your sort of post-service career that, you built strength out of adversity. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important, right? You had all this adversity, both before you went in the service and then in uniform, both the job and then the shitty parts of the job, like the bad people and all of that.
It's the bad people, not.
That's right.
That's it. It's sometimes people can do that, not the Army.
People forget that the Department of Defense, now Department of War, is, the largest employer in the country, right? Like we got no 100% filter, right? We get bad apples, like like everybody else. And it's incumbent upon leadership to identify that, to create structures and processes that prevent that, you know,
good
or
order
fix
and
it.
discipline.
Yeah, exactly. Good order and discipline.
Good order and discipline.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so funny how some of those principles from early in our career matter the most when we become more senior, right?
Right.
The little shit you teach, like attention to detail, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I like this idea that like adversity builds strength. It's also like true in our bodies, right? Like you don't get faster or stronger by staying in your comfort zone.
No, you do not.
You got to challenge yourself. You got to suffer adversity in your body in order to get stronger and grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even, you know, if we use that, like, you know, like with working out, we were talking earlier about working out and fitness and that kind of thing. I can go and do, you know, I just do 20 push-ups a day. No, okay, let me see if I can do 30. You know what I'm saying? And that may not be a lot for somebody, but I'm just saying, just always trying to push myself a little bit more now. And sometimes I don't want to do anything. But I'm saying, you know, I'm alive, I'm well, get up and get at it. Every day I wake up, the first thing I do is walk my dog. I got to walk Cookie. I have a 12-year-old little Labradoodle. And she is not playing. She is the command sergeant major of that house. Yeah. She don't play. She don't play. And then I hit the gym. You know, every day, Sundays, I don't do anything. You know, I stretch or do a light, you know, walk or something.
Recovery day,
every day. Yeah, just some recovery stuff. But every day I hit the gym because life is worth living. And if I wake up and I'm breathing, then I have something to give back. I got to be able to give back. Yeah,
fascinating. And, you know, on this podcast, we focus a lot on how people go from military to make money, right? Basically on how they go from military to wealth. But I love this concept that you talk about so much of redefining wealth as health. You kind of embody that, right? And you believe that, right?
I do.
That wealth is really defined by your actual health.
And I think physical health, of course we know they play hand in hand, physical health, mental health, and we're talking about mental health a lot more and trying to get that stigma out of, you know, what mental health maybe used to be. I don't even think we even use those words. We use some other words that I won't say on here, but I read between the lines, right? Yeah. But I think for me, I know that my physical health absolutely helps me strengthen my mental health, right? Of course, I went through some, you know, mental health issues and things like that. But I tell you, I don't think if I was physically strong, that I might not be here. You know, really. I think if I didn't, and then that mental fortitude to say, come on now, dig a little bit deeper. It's kind of like, I don't know, now I'm talking some old school stuff. The water pump where you had the handle.
Oh yeah.
Where you had to pour the water in to prime it first and that kind of stuff. And
on the water buffalo? Or no, just like, you know.
See, I'm from the country.
Oh, I see. In like
pump,
civilian
like
world.
Pump,
Yeah,
like
gotcha.
a pump, right? Yeah. But and as soon as you start pumping, you know, you feel the pressure and it's coming up, and if you keep pumping a little bit harder, the water's gonna come out. But if you slow it down, then the water's gonna go back down.
Right,
you gotta keep pumping hard,
you gotta
baby.
Keep that pressure
you gotta keep that pressure on, is what I'm trying to say. So that's you just gotta keep that pressure on.
Yeah. So tell me what life was like when you spent almost your entire adult life in the military. What was it like to take the uniform off?
Woo, man, it was like jumping out of an airplane and then looking up and was like, where the hell my parachute? Like, for real.
Exactly.
Yeah, like free falling, like, what? What is going on? It was really a shocker. And I also have to blame myself, right? Because I'm thinking, I'm going to stay in the Army forever. And like, no, you can't stay in the Army forever. Like, you got 30 years. Okay, it's time to go. I didn't plan as well as I should have. The resources were there. They give you a year to transition nearly. You got to take that time and do that. And so some of that accountability is on me, not taking the time to do what I needed to do to make sure that I was set up for even more success. You know, that putting your head down and let me do this. You got to say, okay, now, because taking care of you is also being able to take care of others. We know that now, right? Those little cliches, they mean a lot, those little words are saying. So I take some accountability in not doing what I needed to do, but it was pretty tough. Trying to go out and, how do I put, I was a paratrooper on a job resume. You know, I can put all the leadership stuff and trying to interview. I had never interviewed for a job. Never interviewed for a job. I worked at Burger Chef when I was in high school, and I just came in. The guy, you need looking for a job? Yeah, start Monday. I never interviewed, so just those things. So that's why I would encourage people to take the time to do that. And we do that at Wounded Warrior Project. We have, employment services, benefits, services and programs that we offer, mental health services, physical health services. So I encourage people to look into that and to prepare themselves better.
Yeah. And how did you find your footing in the civilian world? When did you get out?
In 2014.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now you got a decade of civilian life under your belt.
I say all the time, I'm so damn retired.
Yeah.
I'm like chilling. I sit on my lanai, that's a fancy word for screened in back porch, right?
I thought it was a Hawaiian word. Yeah.
And I'm chilling, me, Cookie, and my little dog and my boyfriend. I live a wonderful life. But finding my footing, it took a turn in 2012. I had come back from my last deployment in Afghanistan, stationed at the Pentagon. And I, was driving and I heard two whispers on that drive that day. And they was of my sons. I have two adult sons, Nuke, he's 38, and Bam, he's 33. Now, that's not their government names, that's their nicknames. And I remember taking that drive and heard these two voices. One was like, "Hey, Mama," and the other one was like, "Oh, I love you, Mom." And they pulled me back from my plan, because my plan that day was to drive my car off the bridge. And, I again, the mental fortitude and the toughness to turn that car around and go straight to Fort Belvoir and say, I need some help. That's how I, found my footing. So when people ask me how I overcame adversity, I tell them about this story in the car that day, and hearing the voices of my sons, and they saved me without even knowing it. Metaphorically, they saved me without knowing it, and that's how I found my footing. And of course, getting in contact and being connected with Wounded Warrior Project and just all the mental health doctors and that type of stuff, and again, staying physically fit. And so it was a tough role. I was prescribed everything from mood medication to, mental health medication. At one point I was on 40 something. You go to pain management, they take them down. So it was pretty tough. It was embarrassing. It was hard to say out loud. But then I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can go out here and help somebody else and try to save a life, Yeah. So I don't care about that anymore. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed. I'll shed a tear, and it doesn't, I don't care. Just wipe it off and wipe it on my pants and keep going.
Yeah. And so you found some of these programs, and they're there. You're right. They are there. Sometimes they're hard to find, and maybe we don't make them as accessible as we should. A lot of red,
bureaucracy and red tape, but they
if you need help, they are there. Our awareness, since we served most of our time, it's really spiked up.
Right.
And ultimately you took a position at Wounded Warrior, right?
I did. Yeah. I did. I had did several of their programs, and one in particular was Project Odyssey. It's a venture-based program, talking about mental health and that stuff, and you do a lot of team building exercises and that, and being the leader in me, I'm out there leading the team building exercises. The word got back to some staff at Wounded Warrior Project, and they said, "Hey, we've heard about your story, so on and so forth. Would you like to go out and do some speaking for us?" And I volunteered for about 3 or 4 years, and then they brought me on full time. So it's pretty cool. And still I say I'm so damn retired, because this is not like a job or a new career for me. It's just, it's just something I get to do. It's just part of me now. It's my heart, because, our logo I have on our shirt, our logo is one warrior carrying another. So, they carried me and helped me. So this is my way to give back to an amazing organization and to our warriors. Hopefully I can carry somebody else now.
When you look back, not only did you go through this journey yourself, but you're a drill instructor, so you have this sort of added perspective of seeing all of these young soldiers when they first start in the Army.
Green.
Really green.
Don't know they left from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, green.
Yeah. Well, I get it. But when you think back about the younger version of yourself, the E2 version of yourself, or when you see these young E1s, E2s coming into the Army, what do you think they should be thinking about outside of the Army job? I get it. You and I were front sight focused on doing the job, but should people reserve 5% of their brain to something else?
I mean, to say no would be unrealistic. Yeah, you have to think about that, right? So, the Army provides, again, stability, financial, things and different things. And again, all the skills we need to be a better person, and not forgetting our first is to fight and win wars now. So I think sometimes we're forgetting that, right? I just think, we just have to keep pushing and doing that and keep training and keep setting the standards. And I said earlier, good order and discipline, and watch what you're posting on social media. And I mean, you know, it's just a lot, and you can't let those outside influences get into your head, because again, you have to understand and know the mission, because when you raise your right hand, it's all volunteer, right? So you got to be willing, able, and ready to do what you volunteered for. If not, bow out gracefully. Leave it alone and let somebody else come in. So the young people now, I'm proud of them. You know, I think we need to get back to some old standards with appearance and physical conditioning. And
so you support the... If you want to be or join Special Forces, the Secretary hangs that line.
I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm not...
Hold the standard. Hold the standard.
Because, you know... Yeah. There's some things I see but I'm an old soldier now, so what I say probably don't matter. But yeah, the basics kind of never change, and they shouldn't change. You get up in the morning, you wipe the coal out your eye, you go pee, and you brush your teeth and wash your face. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you do that in another order, you're gonna have to, your bladder gonna be full all day if you don't pee first thing in the morning. I probably, you know, that probably makes sense, but it makes sense to me. It's just the basic stuff that you gotta do. I think we have gotten away from the basics. It's too much glitz and glamour and that kind of stuff.
I was just thinking about myself. I did join Special Forces, and I still can't grow a beard. You know, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Okay, so since you said that, God, so this beard thing. Yeah. Again, I'm an old soldier. Special Forces, let's take the Special Forces, the soft guys. They're out there doing a totally different mission than the regular Army guys. If you want to look like the soft guys, then go do what the soft guys do. If not, you stay over here. Everybody can't be the same. Again, this is our mission, but everybody can't be the same. They got it, I want it. You didn't work for it, so you don't get to have it. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to push back.
Soft guys are doing it for a particular
mission. Yeah.
Not to look cute.
Yeah.
Not to, you know,
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. So we have this little section we like to do. I call it, it's kind of like shoot and steal, like rapid fire, you know? So you get instant feedback, you know? And some of it is, you know, just to kind of get a gauge, like a Rorschach test. But what's the, and, you know, we are focused on building people up in the full definition of wealth, which includes health. But what's the best investment you ever made?
Seeking help is one of the best investments that I made. And also, if we're talking monetarily, you know, getting a financial advisor. Seriously, like getting a financial advisor, because now my two nieces, they're 7 and 4, and my granddaughter, they're on track to be millionaires by the time they're 40. Now they can't touch the money till they're 40. I got some conditions on that. But, you know, they're on track to be millionaires by the time they're 40. And some other conditions that they got to be able to do in college, you know, bachelor's degree and some other things. But yeah, so that's the best investment. And taking care of myself, you know, the peace, being calm, Cookie, you know, my son's calling me just to say, hey, Ma, what's up? Sometimes they won't cash out, but still they. And having my boyfriend.
And I'm assuming your financial advisor was not a finfluencer from TikTok. You're saying like a real person.
I'm talking about a real person, somebody actually that was, you know, because most times it's recommendations, right? So if you know somebody, say, hey, Tonya, this guy, or whoever's been helping me out, that's, your portfolio is looking good. So I'm like, okay, let me see who Car's dealing with. Yeah. So it's that type of thing, and doing your research and making sure everything is legit to the best of my ability. But I think that's the best, if we're talking about monetary, you know, the best financial thing that I did was getting a financial advisor.
I like it. Yeah. How about the dumbest financial mistake you ever made?
The dumbest, the stupidest, the craziest is when I was a E5 in Germany, Mannheim, Germany. I bought, me and my husband, bought a 1990 dark blue, brand new BMW.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
This is like a cliche of a cliche.
Stupid. $679 a month. Now.
Right. On an E5 salary in 1990.
In 1990.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. I had to pay insurance. I may need new tires, the maintenance, the gas. Yeah. And so it ended up I had more month than money. So Yeah. Stupid. So that's the kind of stuff, right? So the experience, the training, the wisdom, I get to pass that on, that financial advice and that wealth advice. Again, the calmness and the peace and all that, but also just the literal financial advice to my family and say, hey, don't do nothing stupid like I did.
And what do you think has been your military skill that's most useful in the civilian world?
Discipline. Again, that's probably cliche, but discipline.
Yep.
Yeah. I make my bed every day,
Bill McCraven. Thank you, Admiral McCraven.
This would have to be right. I can tell when something's out of place. Just discipline, getting up every morning, working out, eating right for all these years. And I appreciate you saying that. My mom is right over there and she always wonders what's wrong with me, but you just helped explain it, How about a book that changed your mindset? How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, by Dale Carnegie.
Yep.
At the end of the day, what I took out of that book was that leadership is a people's business. You have to take care of people. And now that don't mean being a pushover. That don't mean being, stern and holding people accountable, but doing it with respect and honor and those type of things and treating people fairly. And that doesn't mean that this person gets to wear a beard because that person is wearing a beard. That don't mean that's fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mission dependent.
Yes.
Well, Tonya, thank you so much. Your career is extraordinary. Your resilience is amazing. Yeah. I think you have led men and women and young soldiers both in the battlefield, and now I think you're doing so in the civilian sector as well, helping people be their most productive and purposeful selves.
I am. That's what I hope I'm doing and intend to continue to do for a little while. So I appreciate it.
Tonya, thank you. You've been a true inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate you having us, having me here today. So, and having Wounded Warrior Project, recognizing what Wounded Warrior Project does for our veterans.
Great to have you. And to our listeners, I hope you have been taking notes, but more importantly, I hope you're taking action. Here's a reminder, stay tactical and stay driven. All right, thanks for locking in with us today. Shout out to Siebert.Valor and Siebert Financial for supporting our journey. We'll be back next week with another powerhouse conversation, more founders, more builders, and leaders who are playing offense in life and in business. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel for exclusive content and extended cuts of your favorite episodes. Until next week, stay tactical, stay driven.